Right, could I have the Christchurch Children's Christmas Parade Trust, please?
Good to start in? Yeah.
Yes, please.
Morning Mayor Delzell and fellow councillors. My name is Squadron Leader Shane Cole and I'm an officer in the New Zealand Cadet Forces, and I've been asked here to speak on behalf of the Trust because of my long involvement with the parade, not only as a volunteer in the parade but also organise each year a whole lot of volunteers to help marshal on the parade, and I've also provided operational support for the parade for the last 25 years. Should all have a copy of an up-to-date background of the Trust and its workings. That was attached to our submission. Peter Townsend spoke to you all last year on our behalf, and so all I'm doing is pretty much speaking on what he spoke on last year, so we're not repeating ourselves too much. I'm here to ask for funding assistance of $35,000. The Trust was told last year it would have to make application again this year to you all for a top-up to the $65,000 that we already have dedicated from the events and festivals for the 2018 parade. At the time Peter spoke to you last year, we did not know whether the parade would proceed because of insufficient funding. You then committed support, and also late August last year the event secured a naming rights sponsor for 3 years. So this is Multimedia Communications Limited. And basically they stepped up because as local business owners in the community, obviously we went to the media last year about the lack of funding and they didn't want to see the parade not happen, so they came in and have taken up naming rights for this year and next year. So their support couldn't have come at a better time, and the Trust is truly grateful to their commitment. Obviously, multimedia's involvement does not eliminate the complete financial cost of the event, which is the running costs of the event, so the rates, the insurance, float storage, and of course the continuing ongoing cost of the traffic management plan. For example, this year will be $18,000 to run the parade. Also, we have just had notification from our current landlord that also we're up for a rental increase this year. So the trustees met to discuss that issue last night, and the main concerns for the Trust is that the landlord is asking basically for a 6-year lease renewal, which without insufficient funding at this stage, and also the pending possible move to our new building, create other issues for the Trust at the moment as well to try and work through. A budget was attached, so our budget for this year's parade is $235,000. Last year it was slightly dearer at $237,000, and we should break even from last year, so we're looking at trying to do the same for this year. Thanks greatly to your financial support last year of that additional $35,000. That enabled the parade to continue, otherwise it would have not been able to run. And obviously we don't want that to happen. The parade is a loved and well attended event for the ratepayers of Christchurch, and personally speaking for myself, I take my children to the parade, and I think for us to lose the Santa parade when we've lost so many other things over the years through the earthquake and everything else, that we don't want it to be another victim of the earthquake and financial support. And I think the continued attendance by thousands of people to the parade shows that the people of Christchurch enjoy the parade. They take their children along here, and I think it's an iconic event. All going to plan, the Trust will be able to move on from hopefully these funding anxieties from the 2019-2020 year. Hopefully if we can secure this new premise that we will not have to pay rent for each year. That'll allow us to obviously concentrate on what the Trust was set up to do, really, and that's to, signify the beginning of the festive season and to provide the mums, dads and children of Christchurch and Canterbury and its environments with 90 minutes of fun, excitement and joy for all. And obviously you can see over the years of the parade's grown now. It's now a multicultural parade with so many different groups all involved. We have over 2,500 participants in the parade and 500 people that volunteer their time to get the parades there, the marshalling, to do all the work, all the truck drivers that donate their time and their trucks to take all these groups to the parade. The other thing we're also working on is that if our new premises come to fruition, and hopefully we see no reason why it shouldn't, our vision for the future is to instigate a program that the community can be more actively involved in the parade on an ongoing basis through the year, and that we hopefully, with that new building, if it comes to fruition, that we'll be able to set that up as an area where people can come and have a look at all the Santa Parade floats and things throughout the year and get school groups along and make it another area or another activity for people to actually come and see during the year. This hopefully will encourage us to bring our younger generation and be more involved in the parade and allow us, our future volunteers, to keep the parade going. As you know, the parade's been going for 72 years, so it's a long history. Also, this year it's planned to be back in the city, so obviously we had to move from the city and we had to go out to Riccarton Road. So ideally, we're currently obviously working with the council to bring the parade back into the city. So to sort of reinvigorate, hopefully, bring a lot more people back into the city, and that's working hopefully to go down Madras Street and finish at Margaret Mayhew. So what a better place to finish than one of our showpieces of the city. All those children afterwards can all go to, yeah, it will be chaos. But again, there's those areas. And we've also, we were talking this morning about looking at whether or not we can tie something in with Latimer Square as well. We've got that facility there where the parade's going to go past. So if we can try and look at getting more of a festive activity back into it, so that afterwards people don't necessarily just all disperse from the parade, but when we used to finish at Hagley Park, we had all the vendors set up in there and there was a bit of a party atmosphere. So hopefully coming back into the city, we'll be able to reinvigorate that sort of area as well. So that's another thing we're going to look at is from there. So in conclusion, the Christchurch Children's Christmas Parade Trust asks that you give consideration to supporting this year's parade by allocating $35,000 in this year's LTP as requested. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Just a question on the, you say in the submission that in addition to the rent rates and insurance, council agreed to meet traffic management costs. For some reason, this commitment seems to have dissipated and the Trust is at a loss to know why without any consultation. It now has another substantial financial burden to meet each year. When did that happen?
We agreed to look at it.
Well, the original.
When did we agree to meet the traffic management costs, and
27 years ago.
And when was that stopped?
Probably about 4 years ago.
Oh, so it's not a recent thing.
No, it just sort of gradually started out when we didn't get enough money. We didn't have enough money to pay to cover traffic management. That's right.
Right. So the council 4 years ago, until 4 years ago, always met the costs of the traffic management plan,
Yeah,
but they started charging those to you as an organisation 4 years ago. Okay.
what happens, the council actually had their own unit that actually did the traffic management for years. Then it had to be, went out to contract that out. And that was about 7 years ago, I think. And the council covered it for a while, and then it dropped right back and didn't cover it anymore
Okay. Thank you.
with the funding.
Phil?
Thank you. I still go to the Santa Parade with my grandchildren, before my kids, of course. I just wanted to ask you, and I'm interested that you were talking about having the community being involved, especially in the future with it. And I'm just wondering, currently, do you do surveys of sort of opinion about how the parade is, and do you get some feedback that way?
Yep.
So,
And I've been surveying the schools as well.
okay. One of the things I've noticed is that, like, and it's in your submission, that overall the parade can take it in, say, up to 4 hours. So I'm just wondering, like, have you had feedback on the length of the parade, and especially, say, for families and children?
We've hardly had any complaints about the length of the parade either. Yeah, there's a very fine line. If you have it too short, they growl. If you have it too long, they probably growl.
Okay.
But we base it on with Auckland as well, and the length. No, I would honestly say we don't have any complaints about the length.
Thank you.
The
Aaron?
actual parade from start to finish is only 1 hour 30 from the time it starts at 2 o'clock. Normally centre crosses the railway line at Rickenham at 3:30, so it's an hour and a half. People get there, probably at 1 o'clock because they want a good seat. They want to get right on the edge.
They turn it into a picnic day.
Yeah, I just going through the budget, and it was boy, what a tight budget. But it's a shame in the world we live in now that the new float budget's $1,000 a year and the wardrobe budget's $500 a year, and yet we spend $18,000 on traffic management. And yet it's a parade to show floats and costumes and stuff like that. I think this has got a little bit backwards.
Yeah, but you do need a traffic management plan. I mean, it would be a disaster without it.
Because of that health and safety thing.
Yeah, I remember all the kids being run over when I was
The
little.
one that upsets me is the rental, and I'm really upset that there isn't that there's been a delay, that in terms of taking over some premises. So, but anyway, that's something that we'll have to take on board. So thank you very much for your submission. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.